I must admit, when I was thinking about making this video, a whole bunch of things went through my mind. And it's because I've actually had to go through this, and I'll tell you my story in a minute. Let's just get to the video and then we're going to talk about it.
We start tonight with a developing story just into our Nebraska newsrooms late this afternoon. We've learned within the last hour or so that the Tyson Foods plant in Lexington is closing their doors. This comes at a time when a cattle shortage is already squeezing meatpacking companies across the country. Currently, the Lexington plant employs around 3,200 workers. Information about what led up to this decision isn't known right now, but Tyson says job operations will cease on or about January 20th of next year. But Governor Jim.
Okay, let me tell you, I really hate to make a video like this. I really don't like making a video like this because a lot of people, when I make videos like this, they'll think that I'm trying to preach to them. They'll think that I'm on some political side. All of these things come about when that's not my intention. My intention for this video is to let you understand completely that there are decisions that are made that we don't have control over, and then there are decisions that we do have control over, but through bad decisions that we've made in our life, we don't take that control. And then when stuff like this happens from a company that, for whatever their reasons are, they want to lay off all of the workers and essentially fire the workers. And that video there was like, that was the easy video. I saw the TikTok video where an individual was right there inside of the meat plant, and I guess it was a manager talking to all of the workers, and they were stating that if you clocked in, they had a letter. They said, if you clocked in and you got that letter, that you need to just go home. You're going to get paid for 4 hours of work for today. It was the 21st when they got that letter. And then that they needed to come back on Monday and they're going to work 60 days. And then everything was going to be over. And she was like, I know you got questions, all of this stuff. And there was also, they were interpreting to people who only spoke Spanish. But I saw Spanish, I saw Mexican people or people of Latin descent there. I saw black people there. I saw white people there. And basically everybody was getting let go. Roughly, I've heard different reports. Some people said 2,500, some people said 3,000, some people said 3,500. Now, I'm not going to even get into the issue where she said something about the shortage in beef and all of that stuff. I live around places where people are in the beef business. They're selling beef, they're selling cattle. Every day I see the milk trucks come by and pick up the milk, all of that stuff. I'm not going to get into it, but I could tell you that something else is happening. The cattle are being produced, but the buy-in from them is not happening. And there's some crazy, there's something behind that. But I'm not going to get into it because people will think that I'm being political. But what I want to do is I want to talk about what these people are going through and the decisions that you need to be thinking about making right now if you don't have your credit in order, if you don't have your debt in order, if you don't have your household in order. What these people are about to experience, even if they're able to go get another job, is that they're about to go through what I call financial destruction. And I've went through financial destruction on my own, at my own hands on making bad decisions. But if we look at it, regardless of what a company does to us, financial destruction can only come about if we've made bad financial decisions either in the past or as of today. One of the things that I was fired once. I was fired once in my life. And it was the age of 17. I was fired. I was working at Macy's and I was like a stock person, stocking the candy. And one of the managers, older guy, I was taking the lead from him. He had said when the candy boxes busted open, because Macy's sells candy. Some people don't know about that, but they have a big candy section. And he was like, well, when it bust open, and he did it right in front of me. There was putting candy up on the shelves, and there was one that was busted open. He said, we can't sell that. So what he would take up some of the candy and he would eat it. And I was like, we can do that. And he was like, yeah, I mean, they can't sell it. You have a couple of bites, a couple of pieces, and then put it on it was a place in the back where they would send it back to the company and I guess get reimbursed for that product. After I got trained and a couple of weeks into my job, I was doing my job and there was a busted candy box. And after I did that, I did the same thing, had a couple of pieces of the chocolate and put it on the shelf. And the crazy thing that happened was he came to me after knowing that I did it and he said, you ate some candy and you are fired. And I looked at him and I said, you told me that I could have some pieces of the candy. And he was like, it's not working out and you're fired. And I was like, man, like, damn. And I remember walking home that day because I didn't have a car, and it probably about 4 or 5 miles from my house. And I remember walking home. I'm 17 years old, and I remember this had to be 1988 when this happened. And I was like, I'm sorry, not 1988. This happened in 1987 because I was 17 at that time. And all of these things were running through my mind. And I'm thinking, like, these people who are experiencing what they're going through right now, getting fired. And I didn't have a family or nothing at that time. I was just out of high school. I can just imagine what they're going through. They're thinking in their mind, I don't know what's next. How am I going to pay the bills? What am I going to do after this? Like, that runs through people's mind. And that's why I want to make this video, because I want to talk about some provable, effective steps that you can take so you don't end up in financial destruction, so you're able to rebound in your life. Because I know for a fact, everyone who is watching this video wants to protect their assets. They want to protect their money. They don't want any bad surprises to happen. But the thing is that the information is so confusing. They got books, audios, programs, master classes, and all of this stuff out there. And the problem with people with debt is getting worse. It is getting worse. And I believe that it's getting worse because the people who are teaching stuff, they never had to go through what you and I have had to go through. I had to rebuild my credit. I had to get out of debt. I had to learn to make good financial decisions. I had to learn not to lead with and spend my money, advance money on things that I wanted. I had to temper my want attitude or my wanting to buy everything that was out there and use credit because you can buy now and pay later. I had to, in essence, tame myself. Me and my wife, I can remember in 1994, we made the decision that we were not going to live the way that we were living. We had started a business in 1990, made it very successful for 24-year-olds, made it very successful. And we were in more debt, $300,000 in debt, worse situation than we were at when we first started. We just had money, but the money was being spent on all types of payments and credit cards and all of this type of stuff. You know how it is because you're probably going through it right now. But when I talk to people and I evaluate everything that we went through and what was could boil it down, what was the most important step for us back then? It was just about getting out of debt. We were like, we just can't live this way. We got to come up with a plan of action and get out of debt. And at that time, I was not focused on my credit. And it was mainly because I didn't know. But we did put together a plan to get out of debt. It took us 5 years. And that was with, listening to what other people said. And really, I could tell and see right through them. They never went through what we had experienced. Like, it's easy for someone to just give you a book and they're like, here, this is what you got to do. You got to put a budget in place and all this stuff. Yeah, you got to put a budget in place, but how do you feel about putting that budget in place? How do you feel about the stuff that you're going to have to go without? How do you deal with the feelings of not getting the things that you wanted, because we want stuff. So how do you deal with that feeling? And that's what me and my wife had to go through, and that's what I talk about on the Credit Repair Shop channel. So if you are going to, boiling it down, let me get back to that. Boiling it down, main thing that would have saved us from financial destruction, and we would have been able to recover a lot faster, is if we would have understood and protected our credit. Even at that time, if we would have understood and we would have started working on our credit, we would have been able to get out of debt a lot faster. And the reason why, let me tell you, the reason why is because people with bad credit pay more for the same things that people with good credit pay less. Right now, there are people who can't even refinance their home to get a cheaper interest rate. Interest rates are coming down. They can't even refinance their home because their credit is screwed up. Right now, there are people who can't even buy a home right now because their credit is messed up. Right now, there are people who can't even get approved for a credit card. Some people can't even get approved for a bank account that won't be one of these scammy banks that are out there, unprotected banks that are out there, solely because of their credit. So if I had to boil it all down, the number one thing that I would have focused on first, while getting our feelings about the money that we were spending and why we were spending money on things that we really shouldn't have been spending money on, at that same time, I would have started focusing on my credit, because we would have been able to do things utilizing our credit to be able to get out of debt a lot faster. If boiling it down, that would have been the most important thing as a part of changing our bad habits on spending our money, because we would have been able to start saving money on the payments that we were already making. I hope that's making sense to you right now, because one of the things that I see when I start to see and review individuals' credit report and they start to mess up, what tends to happen is the credit card companies that they had accounts with, they start to close their accounts because they see that their risk factor is higher, or they raise their interest rates because they see the risk factor of what they're going through with other debts is going to give them justification to make their interest rates higher. Credit card companies can adjust your interest rates on the fly. If they adjust your interest rates up on the fly because of what you're going through with missing payments, with other debts, it could be just with your installment debts, that will jack up your interest rates, jack up your payments, and all of a sudden you're in trouble, because now the money that you thought you could have utilized to pay those other debts, you ended up having to pay towards the credit cards. That's why credit is very important. If I had to start over today, I would make sure that I protected, like I would say, before once I started seeing that I was in trouble, or if because my credit was already messed up, I would start repairing my credit and getting that in order, because that's going to make it easier for you to start getting out of debt. And I know that might be hard for you to understand right now, but if you could just put it in your mind that people who have bad credit pay more for the same things that people with good credit pay less for, and then you look at all of the things that you're paying more on because you have bad credit, then you could see where you would be able to save money without even doing anything. You wouldn't even have to go out there and get a debt consolidation loan, nothing. You could just refinance into better and lower interest rates. That would be something that would be within your control, within your power, without going out there getting more debt. For these individuals who are about to go experience financial destruction, for the ones who kept their debt under control, for the ones who kept their credit under control, they protected their credit, they will be able to rebound because they will be able to utilize their credit to do things. Let me give you some ways that they'll be able to do it. And you might be in this category too. If you watch my video about how to get out of debt, I had 3 different ways that you can get out of debt. One of the ways was where you did not ruin your credit. if you have been making your payments on time, you have been a good customer to your creditors, you could call each one of them, and this will take some work, but you can call each one of them. And I know this because this was a tool that my wife and I used, but we didn't even use it the way that I'm going to share with you on how to use it. We did it after our credit was destroyed. And it made it a lot harder because some of them didn't want to give these, let us utilize this tool. But if your credit is not messed up right now, and you're experiencing something like this, or you need to be able to get some breathing room, you need an emergency fund so you don't use the credit cards for your emergency, this is what I would advise you to do, as if I was giving a family member or myself in the past when I was going through it, the advice. And I don't have to worry about if this could work for people, because I know that if you can use it, it could work for you and you will not mess up your credit. Is you can call all of the companies that you deal with and you tell them that you need to get payment deferments. And if they need a plan of action in place to give you the payment deferments, guess what? You're going to put a plan of action. You're going to give it to each one of those creditors and say, this is what I'm going to utilize for the payment deferments to take care of some debt, to take care of, catch up on some stuff, whatever it is. And they will give it to you. These people, remember, these are businesses. These businesses had to put together a business plan to even go into business. And you putting together a business plan to show them how you're going to be able to faithfully be able to pay them by them working with you, because right now you're going through a hard time of either getting laid off or you made some bad decisions in the past and you need to be able to figure out a way to rebound on them. And you can actually do this and you will save your credit. Yes, they're going to keep charging you interest, but that doesn't matter. You're trying to save your credit. Why you want to save your credit? Because down the line, you're going to be able to utilize your credit to be able to refinance. So watch that video. I tell you how to get out of debt. And I talk about the 3 ways. And the first way that I talk about is how you can get out of debt without ruining your credit. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch video What Makes Us Different so you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website yourthenumber3scores.com to grab your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports and all 3 scores. Links are below this video. If you have debt collectors coming after you, you can grab my 3-pack of letters. Link is below this video. Or you can go to summonsmaster.com and upload that debt collection letter and get an exclusive certified debt validation letter. Now, some people have asked me, why would they want to do that? Why don't I just give them a template? Every letter that you put through Summons Master, you get backup personal support from my team from the response. We will tell you what you need to do to respond to them if they continue, if they believe that they had a right to continue coming after you for the debt. That is an added bonus for using Summons Master. If you have debt collectors who are suing you in court, that is also, you can go to Summons Master and you can get a response to every allegation and a defense to help you win your case. And as a bonus, you have the backup support with my team. You're not left out there like these other companies that are out there. And also, these other companies do not compare with the type of response that Summons Master creates for you. Thank you for your time. Subscribe to the channel. Post your questions and comments. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and founder of thecreditrepairshop.com.